This is such an intense and intriguing film by Vigo. Was there something that drew you to be a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, Vigo himself was absolutely a big factor, as well as Vicky. I think when he came to me with the script, she was already attached, so that was her and him were like, I don't want to say the main reasons, but like I would have like given anything to work with them. It was an experience, and the script itself, when I read, he sent me the script and he was like, "Hey man, read the script. This is the character I kind of want you to go for. If you hate it, then that's fine. Just let me know." And I was like, as if I'm gonna email back saying, "Yeah, this is trash." It's like, but the script was fantastic. I mean, just as a standalone, like the screenplay itself, I thought was just gorgeous. And I was surprised at the scale of the character he wanted me to read for. We just had like a small phone call previously, and it was all happening very quickly. But yeah, many factors drew me to it, but Vigo and Vicky were kind of the main two for sure.
What kind of backstory then were you given on Jeffries and what brings him to the army and where he currently is emotionally?
Yeah, so Vigo he gave me quite a lot of freedom in terms of what I wanted to do with his backstory. Um, so I kind of based certain things off. I didn't want to go too deep into it, and like he's obviously not mentally well, but I didn't want to necessarily diagnose him with anything specific. Um, and I just kind of thought, because at the time he wouldn't have known that there was anything wrong, and he doesn't believe there's anything wrong with him as a character. But I was looking at the more emotional sides to him, and there's a couple of scenes that he has with um, his father, Alfred Jeffries, that really show that dynamic in terms of that kind of hyper toxic masculine environment that he's been brought up in. And obviously, it's kind of the reason why he is what he is. So there were a few kind of factors that I kind of threw in, and then I did some delving and I made some stuff up, backstory wise, to give me some more clarity on it. But yeah, it was nice to have as much freedom as I did to create the character.
Could his target have been any woman, or is there something about Vivienne that truly draws him to her?
Yeah, I think I mean, it's her strength for one. It's like the fact she's different. She doesn't come from there. I think there's that thing that he's kind of drawn to this outsider, and also there's again I was talking about his relationship with his father. His mother's not present, so I kind of had in my head that she died from some illness at some point when he was young or whatever, and he never quite got over it. So he has this maybe fixation with this slightly older woman, and he's drawn to her in that sense. It's like this kind of weird motherly thing that he kind of has, and it's like, yeah, jumping into that psychology of it all was interesting, and it kind of made it easier for me to relate to him, or at least empathize with certain things that he was doing. It was kind of hard saying, "Yeah, man, you go and kill people." It's like um, hard to get into that headspace, but you have to do it to create that kind of truthful thing. But I think, yeah, Vivienne as a maternal figure, and also just the kind of the silent strength that she has throughout the film, it was like he wanted to try and break that just because that is what he does. I think he's unhinged in that way.
You talk about that scene where he and his father have that confrontation, or at least that discussion where he feels, where he learns about, or at least where we establish that toxic masculinity backstory sort of between them.
Mm.
Talk about working with Garrett Dillahunt to sort of flesh out your familial bonds.
Yeah, so Garrett was great. I mean, immediately when I arrived, I was still trying to kind of perfect Weston and his voice and his accent, and I wanted to just like the tone of voice that he was using. So me and Garrett, Vigo sent me Garrett's number, or the other way around. I think he sent me a text. The first text he sent was "Hello, son," and it was like, "Oh, we're in it. Okay, cool." Even though we're on WhatsApp with the
It's
characters,
totally
so
method.
yeah, completely method. He's like, "Hello, son." So we had a little quick Zoom, I think, or a call or whatever, and he said, "This is basically what I'm doing with my character in the voice." Um, because that's kind of where we wanted the link to be. We wanted to kind of sound as similar as we could, um, as well as the look. You know, me and Garrett don't look too dissimilar. He could definitely be my dad. So yeah, it was that we didn't have tons of time to like fully flesh it out, and I think that almost helped because us not knowing loads about each other kind of reflected how little father and son had in common in the end, apart from just being psychos. Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about working with Vigo on screen and as a director as well. What's it like with that dichotomy?
Yeah, I mean, he's a multi-talented, you know, he can kind of do everything. It's kind of annoying to a point. It's like, why can this guy do all of this stuff and be brilliant at it? But no, Vigo for me, I mean, he's one of the people really that kind of made me want to do acting when I was younger. I remember watching Lord of the Rings, my grandfather showing me these films, probably when I was a bit too young. Um, and just loving it and loving him and loving his character in those films and thinking, wow, I want to do something like this. So like, you know, fast forward 15 years or something and I'm working with him, it's like it was just a bit insane really. And but that being said, he was completely appreciative of the fact I was there. He like wanted me to know how much he appreciated me being a part of the project, and I never felt like I was worth any less than anyone else, even though I was one of the newer actors on there. Everyone was so kind of, I don't know, supportive, and you know, brought me in, and I felt like I belonged there as well, which is really nice.
Is there a scene that's very memorable for you, or maybe one you're most proud of the work you put in?
Okay, there's a scene where Weston's going through quite a lot physically, and that was an intense day for me. We shot that for like 8 or so hours, and it was a lot of screaming and shouting and being very angry and um, stuff. So yeah, that was it was good, but that's memorable just because of how physically draining it was for sure.
What do you think it is about Dead Don't Hurt that's going to make it a fast fan favorite, intense, dramatic film?
Um, I think the fact that it kind of combines, I don't know, I mean, it's a modern love story, really. It's quite a romantic film, and it follows these two characters who are both immigrants, which is like in a Western environment, and like the Western environment that they're in is very classic and kind of pays homage to all the other Western films that have come previously. But I think that I don't know the freshness of it and kind of that subversion of that Western genre being like a hyper, you know, masculine strength kind of fueled gunfight kind of thing, and having Vivienne as a central character who's like just as strong as any of the men that she's up against in this film, but that just in a completely different way. And I think, I don't know, I just think there's more in it for more people, and it kind of covers a wider range of themes than other westerns, I think, as well.